Hey there, welcome to the DFS build. I'm Kevin Roberts, starting with Taylor Smith. We're going to go over the DraftKings main slate, and the sole goal is to help you win money. If you want extra help, you can head to our free Discord. Hit the link at the bottom of this video. Come talk shop with everybody else in the Discord. You can get core plays at DraftKings leading into lock, as well as personalized advice depending on what you plan on doing. And you can also get access to our FanDuel plays, DraftKings night picks, and MMA DFS plays for the week. Those can all be accessed on Patreon for a small fee. I think that's about it. But if anything we do here does help you, hammer that like button below the video and also subscribe to the channel if you're not. Yeah, hammer it. And if you're not subscribed already, come help us out. Subscribe. Let's build the community together. One good way to do that is if we can win. Yesterday was not that bad. Like I had a good lineup, but accidentally went from McBride to what's his name? Well, campaign. We're just talking about it. And I had McBride everywhere else except for this one lineup. And the one lineup I had, that was my best lineup without McBride. It actually did pretty well. If I had McBride, it would have been glory. Anyways, onward and upward we go. The way we do this, we break down every position, and we'll start here at point guard. Cade Cunningham leads the way with a 55-point fantasy projection, carrying 20% ownership. I mean, Cade looks great. There's nothing wrong with Cade. He's going against the Spurs. They're playing kind of faster. Now that Wemby's not there, they really didn't have any bigs that they wanted to play. So Cade looks good at 10.3. I personally am not seeing this as a slate that I really want to spend like major money on. But I can't really fault you for playing Cade. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, he projects for me as the best overall play on the slate, ahead of we assume a limited Giannis slightly. I think he's great. Like, I'm happy to play him. The only thing is this slate looks like a balanced build. It's going to be the way to go. That should be the chalk avenue, I'd assume, with like Aaron Fox and Kyle Kuzma and all this stuff that we have opening up. Some Washington stuff in the mid-range. I like some Cleveland stuff in the mid-range. So I do think paying up for Cade might be a different route than most take. So by default, it's viable. I like the matchup against San Antonio without Wemby, of course. Yeah. So good spot for Cade. I will be probably over the field on him, but not a must play. I think the balance build has a lot of appeal tonight.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 20% isn't nothing on a 6-gamer, but yeah, if he's not going to be owned, certainly appealing in GPPs. Right now, just not a guy that I am getting to because everything just below him looks really, really good. One of those is Kyrie Irving against the Pels. Like, you can't ask for a better spot. Saving $1,000 here. Got a really good projection. Like, he's pretty comparable to Cunningham, and you save $1,000. And he's not even as owned as him right now. I would imagine that changes, especially if PJ Washington ends up getting ruled out. Kyrie looks great. He's not my favorite point guard on the slate, but he is my second favorite. How are you feeling about Kyrie here?
Yeah, I like him. I'm not really getting there at the moment. I would like to get more than I have now. It is a great spot. Obviously, no Luka, no AD, so he should be the guy. He's been kind of erratic. Like, it seems like he maybe gets up for big games and kind of just lets others take over in these matchups against lesser teams. So we'll see what happens, but in a vacuum, he's a great play. It's just kind of, he's a victim of the position on this slate. Like, there's cheaper stuff at point guard that grades out similarly. So pay all the way up from him at 9.3 is not a necessity. I do think he's a good tournament play if the ownership would be low. Not really getting there as of now, but good play overall.
Yeah, last time he faced the Pels in the same exact situation, 47 fantasy points. So it's about what you can expect and hope for. I think he can get there. The only issue is De'Aaron Fox is on this slate as well as yesterday's, and he's only 8.2K. Price only budged by 300, and he's got a matchup with the Pistons, which isn't very scary. Just monster usage from him. 56 fantasy points yesterday with no Wemby. I mean, like, you could go, it's the same thing. Salary difference, 1,000 either way. Cade to Kyrie, I'm preferring Kyrie right now. Kyrie to Fox, I'm preferring Fox. He's the number one point guard to play on the slate. Do you agree or not?
Yeah, there's really no way around it. The price came up a little bit to 8.2, but we saw it last night. He almost had a triple-double in a win against Phoenix. They're playing Detroit, who's going to have the rest advantage. Obviously, San Antonio playing for the second time in as many nights, but even with the price hike, he's still not priced accordingly for the role he's going to have for the rest of the season. So happy to be in on that now, even as chalk. Eating chalk in basketball, generally not a bad strategy. So no qualms with it. There's plenty in this range, though. I think Jordan Poole Darius Garland are two mid-range plays I like quite a bit. Donovan Mitchell as well. The Cleveland side of that New York-Cleveland game might go a little overlooked with Cleveland at full health, essentially, but it's a pretty big game. Two teams atop the Eastern Conference, pretty high total. Cleveland's total is 124.5, which is one of the higher marks on the slate, if not the highest. So getting to them even on the back-to-back, I like quite a bit. Garland at 7,400, Mitchell at 83. Prefer Garland between the two, just given the discount, but those are two guys I have my eye on quite a bit.
Yeah, I think those are just guys like, for me, because I like Fox so much here, and if I was going to pay up, Kyrie and Cade look really good too. I just think it's like, if I land on them, I have no problem with it. Garland is a nice price at 7.4. Mitchell, I never have a problem with the Cavs. It's like, if everybody's in for Cleveland, it's kind of like, one of them's going to smash probably.
Yeah, it's like a low-owned thing, like each of the four main guys has ceiling. So I might max one that 4, but I think all 4 individually are pretty appealing.
Yeah, I also like Tyler Hero. Monster usage, gets to face the Raptors. It's a good matchup. Obviously, no Jimmy anymore. I just think he's kind of going to be a lost option in this range. Like, De'Aaron Fox is the chalk. Don't mind eating that chalk, but you could just pivot for $400 more and play Hero. Obviously, some people are going to play Donovan Mitchell at 11%. He's going to be less owned than Donovan Mitchell. So I think he's an interesting GPP play. Like, I get a little bit more excited with him as opposed to Poole or Garland, just because I think he just has a better ceiling, and kind of a better matchup too. I guess Poole's matchup is pretty good. But yeah, so I think Hero is going to go overlooked big time. So I do like him a good amount. If I land in that 7K range on Garland or Poole, no problem there. I do think, though, if I'm going to be there, I think I would just go down a little bit more and go get somebody like Emmanuel Quickly. I think he looks really good at 6.2. Nice projection. Miami is not the defensive stalwart they used to be. RJ Barrett is back, so that's a slight cause for pause for sure. Because Toronto's getting pretty strong here. Only guy that's not there is, Brandon Ingram hasn't even been integrated yet, but Jakob Poeltl still isn't back. But, it's basically Quickly, Barnes, and now Barrett. But Quickly's price is too nice, 6.2K. I like him quite a bit. And then we keep, you can look at the Spurs guys. Didn't like that Castle only played 26 minutes. Didn't like that they played small and he still played only 26 minutes. Chris Paul is a nice value again. But Jose Alvarado, like, if he's going to keep starting, DeJounte's done for the year. Brandon Ingram got traded. Why can't we play him at 5.5K, getting 34 minutes here? I like him a good amount.
Yeah, I like him, Chris Paul, quite a bit. Chris Paul, an old man on the back-to-back's not the most fun thing, but so far the minutes for him haven't really been negatively affected on second halves of back-to-backs. So around 30 again tonight should be a reasonable expectation. He's gotten the biggest usage boost of any Spur without Wemby all season, so you wouldn't really expect that necessarily, but it's about a 5% hike, which is substantial. So no qualms with him again, even with Fox in the same lineup. I'm cool with it. I'd probably max to the Fox, Paul, Castle thing, with Castle being distant third at a more expensive salary than Paul. So
yeah,
no issue with it. Alvarado, again, a good play. Dallas, without AD, without Gafford, without Lively, really not a lot of paint protection in there. So good enough spot. The price came up on him, but you can argue he's still reasonably cheap given the ceiling he's shown in this role. So don't have an issue with that. We kind of glossed over Brunson, but if OG is out, in addition to Josh Hart, even with the price tag in a tough matchup, I think he's okay. Not nearly the priority he was yesterday, but still, if he's going to be contrarian compared to the way he was yesterday when he was owned by like half the field, I don't mind taking shots on that either.
I do mind. That's why I didn't mention him. I think, okay, this will segue into my next point, which is Miles McBride, if no Hart and OG, is a lock at 4.3K. Not expecting 50 fantasy points again, but 4.3K for 40 minutes in any game, that's insane. I'm just going to always play that. I'm not going to pay a premium, though, for Cat or Brunson on this slate when there's really good plays right next to them and they're in way better spots. Like, I will take my lumps. If I lose because Brunson goes nuclear and like De'Aaron Fox and Hero and Kyrie, all these other guys I like, they are terrible, so be it. I just don't like him tonight. I do see your argument, though. It is Brunson pushing a 50-point fantasy projection in a very high total game at probably not very much ownership. So the logic checks out. I just won't be doing it. But yeah, McBride, obviously 4.3 looks great. Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins with Dame out. I don't really know what to do. I'm just going to be honest. I do not know what to do with those guys because Ryan Rollins started the last time we were in this scenario, and then he only played like 16 minutes or something.
He played 26.
Oh, it was 26. Okay, but still, then KPG came in and cut into that quite a bit. So, like KPG is the better DFS player, but he's also $600 more. I think they're just going to kind of cut into each other. I do think that they're both cheap. They're both viable. They are facing the Wizards. It's kind of a messy situation, honestly. I don't really like it. How are you feeling about it?
I don't mind it. We saw Rollins start, and then KPJ played like the entire fourth quarter over him. So really no telling who's going to start tonight. But they're both cheap. The matchup is the best matchup you can get. So I prefer Porter to McBride, even if Anunoby is out. I just think the upside for him is comparable. Good per minute production, better matchup. So I'm happy to play both of them. I think Rollins, given the cheaper salary, he's riskier, but at 3.6, the risk is a bit mitigated. So wouldn't play them together probably, but individually, I think they're fine.
I mean, if Rollins starts again at 3.6, you're not really assuming that much risk because of the price and the matchup. So I'm certainly okay. I'm certainly okay with it. I'm just a little bit wary of KPJ cutting further into his role, but I mean, 3.6K is 3.6K.
Portis is also out, so that's another usage guy.
True,
Torian Prince is out, so like there are minutes to go around. AJ Green, I think, is also viable with Prince out. Not a comfortable play, but he's 3-4 and should have minutes, so I'm okay with all three of those guys.
Yeah. I still really like Miles McBride though. If OG is out, because Hart's already been ruled out. If OG is also out, he's going to start and play like 40 minutes. Like I don't know how we get away from that. I like it a lot. Is there anybody else down here at point guard that you're into?
No, not really.
Yeah, nothing else looks great. That is for sure. All right, let's move along to shooting guard. Up top, we have De'Aaron Fox. You can use him over there as well. If you like a lot of point guards, you can just use him with one of them. Donovan Mitchell is at least comparable in price and projection, and he's going to be half his own. So certainly in tournaments, you can entertain that. I always like Trey Murphy III. Not really the most amazing matchup. Dallas defends the three pretty well, but he still has a massive role. I tend to like using him a little bit more on like a back-to-back when Zion is out, but Trey Murphy is still in play. Desmond Bane just feels like a better value. The projection's kind of similar, and he's like $900 cheaper. So he looks okay. But honestly, I'm pretty much just paying for Fox up here, or I'm saving money at shooting guard. One of the best ways to do that right away is Max Christie at 5.4K. Good matchup for him against the Pels. Been playing monster minutes, and the Mavs are down a ton of key bodies. So he continues to look good at 5.4K. I like him a lot.
I think there was some kind of glitch on my end. I think you mentioned Max Christie.
I did.
And the new role he's playing for Dallas. He's averaging like almost a fantasy point per minute. So without AD, without the bigs, someone else might be missing. I don't remember quite, but the minutes should be pretty secure. And he's still underpriced with guard forward eligibility. So even as chalk, I don't hate the Max Christie thing. Beyond that, there's really no one else that we didn't talk about at point guard that I also like at shooting guard other than Bane or Murphy. I think are fine. Klay Thompson's okay. I do prefer Christie between the two. Max Strus, not loving that. Vince Williams is questionable, but if he's in, he's 3,100 with a roll off the bench playing around 20 minutes. I think you can do worse than that. So there is a lot of value here, but paying up for Fox, with point guard having more high-end plays that are specific to point guard, like Garland, like Jordan Poole, Cade Cunningham, I think playing Fox at shooting guard makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Fox for me here, or Christie, or we're looking at McBride, KPJ, depending on what happens there. Like, honestly, like Fox, it's like whatever we're using. There's so many ways to go at point guard, so you can use him at point guard, use him at guard. But I think Christie's probably going to be a guy I actually slide to small forward, which is nice that you can put him there. But those are really just the only shooting guards I have a lot of interest in on this slate. Is there anybody, though, that like maybe we're overlooking that nobody's going to be on that maybe they should be on?
I don't hate McCollum for 8K. The role without DeJounte is pretty big, so he's okay. Not a priority. Like I prefer the Cavs in that range. I prefer De'Aaron Fox, of course. So I think he's playable, but not someone I'm looking to prioritize.
Yeah, and even like Memphis, like Bane, like good value there, but facing the Magic, it's just like not really that inviting. So yeah, so I think that's kind of where I stand there. At small forward, we have Scotty Barnes leading the way. I think Scotty Barnes is a little bit sneaky, actually. He's been pretty good against the Heat, and the Heat have not been as good defensively, and certainly not with Jimmy Butler. He's not going to be owned either. So I think he's a little bit interesting. Not a priority. Really, really like Zion here. Who the hell is going to stop Zion inside for Dallas? They have nobody. Brow's gone. Lively and Gafford are out. Who is there? PJ Washington? I mean, like, come on. So Zion...
Maybe.
Probably not, though.
He's questionable, so we don't know. That's the thing.
Right. Okay. No. Yes, they might have him, but is PJ Washington going to shut down Zion Williamson? I really don't think he will. 8.5K. I don't love the minutes still, and the projection does not blow me away, but I do love the ceiling on him. He's just his usage rate. Look at this shit. It's just disgusting when he's only out there for 28 minutes, but he is quite active. Out there, basically flirts with a triple-double like every other game, and I just don't see any resistance for Dallas here. So I like Zion quite a bit. He's my favorite spend up at the position. Then obviously after you get after those guys, you have Kyle Kuzma looking pretty darn good at 6.9K with no Dame.
Yeah, Zion having small forward now I think is new, and that's good because this position's usually ass. So having him there is nice. Murphy, same thing. Like I prefer Zion between the two, but both have shown the ceiling even together. Kuzma is getting up there at 6,900, but without Dame, without Portis, without Prince, there are going to be minutes to go around on the wing. So, and it's a revenge game against the Wizards, so he should be pretty motivated. That's the kind of guy I would actually buy the narrative on. Like I feel like he'd be happy to stick it to the Wizards because that's the kind of guy he is. So
Petty.
Fine with that. Into ownership. Franz Wagner, I think, is okay again. Like the matchup for Orlando is really good. Memphis runs at the fastest pace in the league. They're a good defense, but the pace just makes it so the games are pretty high scoring in general. So even on a back-to-back, I think both of those Magic high-usage wings are in play again tonight. I prefer Paolo between the two, given that he's a little bit cheaper than Franz these days. But I do think Franz is a very good player once again for the second slate in a row. Christie, you can play here. I think Asar Thompson, again, still way underpriced on DraftKings for the role he has. The minutes have come up a little bit of late. Still not going to see 30 in all likelihood, but he's so productive per minute that you really don't have to have him play 30 to get there, especially at that salary. So far more expensive on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, he's still one of the better cheapies on board.
Yeah, don't disagree with anything you said there. I always like Franz. I like Banchero also against the Grizzlies. Already talked about Zion, Kuz. I changed the projections. I had the projections on the wrong thing. So now we see Kuz looks even better here at 6.9K. Vassell's okay again against the Pistons with no Wemby. I don't mind it. He wasn't really good, yesterday, but he's still in play. That's a nice price for him. Extra usage for sure. Najee, if no PJ Washington, he'll get a bit of a spike here in usage and minutes. So I don't think he's the worst value at 5.7. I don't really want to play him if PJ is in. Isn't PJ Washington small forward eligible too, or no? No, maybe not. No, he is questionable. Okay, so the other value here would be Keldon Johnson. He was pretty decent, 25 minutes off the bench yesterday as the Spurs went small. Unsure if they do that again here, but Keldon Johnson still is going to get a usage and minutes bump in general because Wemby isn't there. So I don't think he's a bad value at that price. All right, over at power forward, we have Giannis leading the way. Like, certainly, if everything was normal, we had no reason to doubt anything, this would be a Giannis slate probably, right? If we knew for sure Giannis would not be limited, if we knew for sure the game wouldn't blow out and like all these different variables, Giannis looks good. 11.5K. Wizards is like one of the best matchups. The only thing is we kind of have to think he might be limited. He was limited yesterday, and he played obviously yesterday. So those two things, and Doc Rivers being a genuine a-hole sometimes with what he does with his lineup, makes me hesitant to go after Giannis. So personally, not going to do that. I'd be much more inclined to pay for Cade on this slate than Giannis, and the fact that he's carrying 20% ownership is even more reason for me to just buy into that. So what are you thinking with Antetokounmpo tonight?
Yeah, I'm probably not going to play him at all. I just feel like he played 24 minutes last night. He did not get back on the floor late in the game, even though it was a competitive, close game. So they're pretty firm on that limit. I'd be shocked if one day after playing 24 minutes, he would suddenly play like 36. So assuming he's limited again tonight, I feel pretty good about that fade at 11-5. Even though it's the Wizards, like he can still probably get there, but I'm willing to bet against it. Just because there is cheaper stuff. Like we've said, the balance build is pretty viable with Kuzma here, Banchero here, power forward only on DraftKings. PJ Washington, if he's in 7-2 is fine if we don't hear he's limited. He's missed quite a few games at this point, but should have quite a bit of usage for Dallas without AD and without Luka. So don't mind it. Zion here as well. Bam Adebayo at 8-1 is okay. The matchup against Toronto is really good for him without Pirtle. Not that Pirtle's stopping anyone anyway, but it's going to be like Mobo playing center for them. So Bam shouldn't have a ton of resistance. And then Evan Mobley, one of those Cavs who's always on my radar.
Yeah, I like the PJ Washington call in theory. I do think after 13 days off with an ankle injury, he's probably going to be limited. So because of that, I don't think I'm going to play him. If we hear like no restraints whatsoever, then sure, 7.2K with that projection against the Pels, that looks pretty good. Love the Bam call. Bam's one of my favorite plays of the slate. I do like Hero as well, but if I had to pick one, it's going to be Bam. The matchup with the Raptors is really good. In 3 meetings, he's averaged 51 fantasy points per game against them. So he's been doing that also in a number of ways. And like you said, not even Pirtle is there to stop him. So I think Bam is a great play. Can use him at power forward or center. The only thing with Bam at power forward is like Kuz is like right there and is cheaper in the same projection. It just feels kind of not right to not play Kuz and pay up to play Bam there. Certainly you could just slide Bam to center if you want to. But yeah, so there's honestly a lot to like here. I talked about Zion already. I mean, Evan Mobley feels like he gets overlooked every slate the Cavs are on, but he still looks good. Banchero, like you said, he looks awesome. There's nothing wrong with him. If you want to pay up for Giannis, you can pay up for Giannis. I just don't think this is the time to do it. If there's any chance he's limited, I just think it's kind of silly to do that. Precious Achiuwa with no Josh Hart. He should still get a ton of minutes. So I'm just going to buy into the minutes thing with the Knicks guys that are cheaper. With Cat and Brunson, I'm not as inclined to do it, but Precious at 6.2K, he's getting close to being priced out for sure, like undoubtedly so. But 40 plus minutes in each of his last 2 games. Josh Hart for sure out. OG possibly out. He still looks pretty much in play for me. What are your thoughts on Jeremy Sohan? He was 4.5K yesterday. He did hit yesterday for that slate. Like if you kept him in, he rewarded you with I think 28 fantasy points, so that was fine. He didn't hurt you. But today he's 5.5K. Now we get Charles Bassey back, and we don't really know what to expect. Like if Sohan starts and they go small, I do like Sohan at 5.5K. But if he's coming off the bench again at $1,000 more, I think I'm out. How about you?
Yeah, I pretty much got off him completely last night after we heard he wasn't starting. Like into the ownership that he had, he was a pretty bad play, I think.
Right, at that point, for sure.
50% ownership. So it was a fade I attempted to make. I think tonight at 1K more, he's going to be lower owned by default because he didn't start last night and he's more expensive and they have Bassey in there now. But he's okay. I think I prefer Keldon between the two. Just he's $1,100 less. The minutes are going to be pretty similar, assuming they're both off the bench. So Sohan does have a ceiling. It's been a while since we've seen it. If he started, I would change my tune. But if he's off the bench again, I really have no interest in paying for him.
Yep, 100% agreed. If he starts, he is very interesting at 5.5. Guess who played Jonathan Isaac yesterday? This guy.
Yeah.
And it worked fucking horribly. He got 3. Thanks, John. 3. Anyways, so I'm not playing Jonathan Isaac, but the one thing about Jonathan Isaac that I have noticed is on a back-to-back, they kind of switch it up. If he played a lot of minutes in the first game, he plays a lot fewer minutes in the second game. If he doesn't play that much in the first game, he plays way more in the second game. So it is a good spot for DFS purposes, fast-paced environment. I wouldn't be that shocked if Jonathan Isaac played like 20 minutes tonight. So I'm just saying he is still in play. And that's like the whole thing. Like, don't let recency bias sway you completely. One other guy I'll mention here, Nikola Jovic is a midday questionable guy at 5.2K. Any interest in Jaime Jaquez because of his status?
I haven't looked into it a lot. I think Haka started the last game, but Wiggins was out, I believe, in that one. So
Yeah,
they still have enough plays. I think Kyle Anderson started and shit like that. So I don't think Miami's secondary stuff is for me tonight.
it's probably a good call, actually. All right, over to center we go. Let's see, Giannis leading the way over there. Cat. See, I'm just gonna stand like yesterday we were like, yes, Cat, 61 fantasy points. That was a hit. That worked out. Today I'm not into Cat. I'm not into Giannis. I think there's a lot of other good options to play. Like center specifically does not have like a massive ceiling guy, but we have rock solid plays with a healthy PJ possibly. You got Mobley, you got Bam, even Duran looks good at 6.7, Jared Allen at 6.6. Like I like a lot of these options here, and we have a couple of values. So what are you thinking at center tonight?
Yeah, I'm not making Towns the priority that he was last night. Like he was a very obvious smash against Chicago. This is a considerably worse spot on a back-to-back against Cleveland, but he's still under 10K. The same things apply as far as his status being underpriced that we said yesterday. And if Anunoby's out, that's a usage boost for him. The rebounding upside is there without Hart. So I'm still interested. I'll try to match the field on him. I don't think I'm going to take a big stand, though. I do think he's a good play, though, especially given the lack of like superstars we have on this slate. So I don't mind it. I think you can pay down, though. I agree on the Cavs. I agree on Bam. PJ, I think I'd prefer it power forward probably. I think Duran is a very strong play against the Spurs team without Wemby. And then there is cheap stuff. Oh, I forgot to mention Brook Lopez. Like without Portis and without Dame, there's going to be usage to go around for him. They're playing the Wizards, so we love bigs against Washington, even if Lopez isn't like a classic banging in the post
Even if
rebounding big anymore.
Even if they don't rebound at all ever.
Yeah, but if you're going to get rebounds against anyone, it's probably going to be against the Wizards. So
one would hope.
I do like Brook Lopez a little bit. I wish he was cheaper, but if people are scared to play him at 5'9", given the role he has, I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, he projects well. And like you said, it is the Wizards. I don't hate it. It's fine, especially since I just don't feel compelled to pay up for center or really anybody on this slate. So I think if you can find guys that you're comfortable with in the mid-range, that's totally cool. I don't have a problem with it. Wendell Carter looks like a pretty good value here, 43. He's played 28 plus minutes in each of his last two games. Nice DFS environment. They're going to need his size with Edie there and Jaren Jackson Jr. obviously too. So he should play the same amount of minutes we've been getting out of him. And at 4.3K, I think that's all you need. So I think he looks really good at that price. Bassey at 3.7. He's been out like a while. It's been like 18 games or 18 days. Sorry, not 18 games. If he started at 3.7, how are you feeling?
Pretty good because he's excellent per minute. I could see him getting around 20 minutes in the starting role. And at 3.7, given that per minute upside, I think it's definitely worth a try. I'd be nervous about it if he's coming off the bench, though. And it doesn't help that this is one of the two games that starts at 5:30, the last game window on DK. So there's risk if we don't hear about it. I'm still playing a little bit, even if he's off the bench. But at 3.7, if he's projected to start, I feel pretty confident just because there's not as much opportunity cost at center as there normally is. Like we don't have Jokic or anything like that on this slate. So I'm okay with it. I much prefer him to Carter. Like I think Carter is a fine play in projections, given that his minutes have been up a little bit of late in the matchup is a good one, but he really still doesn't offer a ceiling. And if he's going to be owned at a 25 to 35% clip, I don't think fading Wendell Carter is something that's really likely to hurt you. So if he's going to be mega owned, Carter looks like a pretty calculated fade, I think.
Yeah, I don't hate the logic there. I mean, anytime a guy is going to be that owned and lacks the guaranteed upside, you can certainly consider it. I still like him. I don't mind him at that price. If Bassey starts, I will be interested for sure at 3.7K. If he doesn't start, that's a big no for me. In the name of Mamu, I do not want any part of Bassey if he's not starting.
Bassey was playing backup minutes when he was healthy and Wemby was healthy. So I don't really think Biyombo would be ahead of him on the depth chart. So I feel okay about it. And he's cheap. So
if Biyombo is healthy and they just signed him to another 10-day deal, and he just played 16 minutes.
I'm saying I think Bassey is going to play in front of Biyombo.
He should. He should. But you also would have thought that Mamu, who's actually been on the team, would have played ahead of Biz too.
Maybe, but we talked about it yesterday. Like, we don't know. We have no idea
Right.
how that's going to play out, and then it played out in a way that we didn't necessarily expect. So who the hell knows?
That
I also
is
think,
looking at it.
I think Alex Sarr is okay. Like, without Valanciunas, he played 32 in the last game. Milwaukee is a pretty good matchup these days, and Sarr doesn't have a lot of competition for minutes in the Washington front court. So 5,600 is not like cheap, but I do think he has payoff potential, and I don't think he'll be super popular either by the time lock rolls around.
Yeah, I don't mind him. He just, they keep limiting him. He did play 32 minutes in the last game he played, so that's worth
without
noting.
Valanciunas, I'm saying like he
Right.
should have bigger role moving forward. So
yeah, I don't hate that. I actually kind of like that a little bit at 5.6. I think that's probably. I guess Khalil Ware, he got his minutes back a little bit in the last game. Raptors are a good matchup. I don't think it's the
Chandler's
worst
out
play.
that game.
Bastard. Okay.
He's a pretty bad play.
Yeah, well, I mean, center isn't very loaded though. I don't know if we had any strong feeling about him actually holding on to 30 plus minutes at that price, I wouldn't mind it. But yeah, Bam being out definitely impacts that quite a bit. All right, let's wrap things up with our flag plant of the day and our general strategy for tonight.
So balance build, like we've been saying, looks like the preferred way to go. I do think paying up for Cade is still interesting. There's enough value to do it, so it's not like you're plunging super deep if you do pay up for Cade. But with Fox and Kuz and Garland and all these guys in the mid-range, I think that's probably the way I'm going to go. I think I'll flag plant Jordan Poole. Just like the Bucks over the past couple of years have been not very good against high usage guards. He's a high usage guard. We've seen ceiling from him lately. Not really sure how like Middleton and Smart being incorporated into things affects him. I really don't think the minutes for him are going to get knocked down too much, if at all. So happy to play him in this spot. We're going to have Milwaukee value on the other side, and running back with Poole or Sarr looks good to me.
Yeah, my flag plant is more like the opposite way of just like what I don't want to do, and that is, for the most part, I don't really want to pay for studs. So I'm not paying for limited Giannis. I'm just not going to do it. If that burns me, so be it. I do have a little bit more interest in Cade than I did earlier in the day, just because he has the best projection of the slate, and he's not like super chalky. So I have interest in that, and like pairing him in the same game with De'Aaron Fox. That's kind of appealing. The other thing is I'm just not going to play the premium Knicks here. I do like McBride a lot as long as OG is out. And I also like Precious Achiuwa still. I'm just not going to pay for Brunson and probably not Cat here either. I think if I did pay for one, it would be Cat again. Just because there's comparable plays at point guard that I feel are a little bit more enticing than Brunson. Like De'Aaron Fox is cheaper and safer to me. And then like Kyrie is just like $500 more in a way better spot. Feels like a better premium buy. Whereas like, you could certainly make the argument, which I think you kind of did, like at center, like if you're not going to pay for Giannis, like who are you paying for? Right. Like Cat still has a massive ceiling and it is a big game. Like if the Knicks show up, then it's entirely possible that it's a shootout and like he and or Brunson do pay off. But if I'm going to pay for a premium Nick, it's going to be a Cat. All right, that does it for us. Hopefully this helps you out. If it did, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us in Discord. Discord is free. DraftKings core plays are free. And if you want to play FanDuel or Night DraftKings, we have that stuff on our Patreon too. So check out all those links and come talk shop with us in Discord. All right, thanks for watching and good luck.